Hi everyone, a very good evening and a very warm welcome at our new Edelweiss Connect Classroom session. We at Edelweiss Mutual Fund are delighted to have you with us, and more so because it's for a very interesting topic which I plan to cover today. It's called Master Your Relationship with Money. No matter how much money we have, I think it's one of those essential commodities where very few of us would think that I have enough. We all want more of this commodity, isn't it? And frankly speaking, there are two broad ways through which we can increase our net worth or this money flow. One is obviously by earning more of it, and that's a very personal thing, because it depends on what are my earnings today, what is my scope of earnings in the future, what is the strategy which I may want to deploy in order to earn more in the future. And like I said, it's very personal, and there is no one size that fits all when it comes to earning more. The other way in which we can increase this money flow for ourselves in the future is how well can I manage my money? What am I doing with my money today will decide on what is the scope for growth of my money in the future. How much do I spend? How much do I save? From that savings, how much am I investing? Am I focusing on budgeting? Is there a budget that I follow? I mean, do I keep track of my investments? Through this program, I aim to have some ideation around these questions, which will then help us all to manage this essential commodity which we all want more of in the future. As the wise say, life was never meant to be easy, would clearly imply that life is difficult, isn't it? And it's true. We experience numerous challenges right from the time that we are born till our unfortunate demise. I mean, there are challenges that we face right from the start, right? I mean, right from the time you're born, when we're learning to talk, when we're learning to walk. There are challenges which are there in our personal and professional lives. All this in retrospect makes us all feel that we do not have a lot of control in our life. While optimists may look at this as adventurous and may think that each day brings something new, the pessimists will probably whine about the daily challenges they have to work with. Whether we are an optimist or a pessimist, what is really true, which we would all agree upon, is that we cannot predict the future. However, there is one aspect about our future which we can have some control over. That is our wealth. How important is this? If you ask me, I would say it's very important. Because while life can be difficult, having money can definitely make matters easier. Mastering our relationship with money will help us assess our current wealth and chalk out a plan to help it grow sufficiently so that I have, sufficiently available money for my own financial security. This is going to be our agenda, which I aim to cover in the next about 35 odd minutes. We will talk about the need to know about what your current financial situation is. We will talk about the importance and the need of having a financial goal or a plan. We will talk about why it is very important for all of us to have a handle on our finances, which can be done by having some kind of a budget to work with. From budgeting, we will move on to discuss and and talk about the 4 mantras to successful investing and what are those factors which influence our investment decision-making process. As usual, uh, if there are any queries or questions that you may have, I would request you to please put it in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to respond to each and every one of them towards the end of our session. Imagine you are gifted with a very beautiful sapling, which has the potential to deliver fruit, right? Of course, once it grows, it has the potential to deliver fruit to you. You plant it and you water it, and what you realize is the plant is growing, but it's not growing as to its potential. It's giving you fruit. From time to time you're getting a fruit, but again the fruit is not there in abundance as it is there in similar species planted elsewhere. Now you start wondering, right? Why is this plant not laden with fruits just like the others? If you just introspect on this, you will realize that perhaps it has got something to do with the way you have treated this sapling. This is not to say that you neglected it. No, we're not saying that. You have just not taken that marginal effort which is required to ensure that the plant is regularly nurtured with perhaps manure and pesticides if necessary. Perhaps you also planted the sapling in the wrong location. And had you realized this earlier, you could have transplanted this sapling to a more productive, location. There could be many reasons. But if you look at it, and go to the bottom of it, you would probably realize that perhaps you have not given it the time, or you don't have the inclination to make this sapling grow and give you the fruit that it should. Perhaps you also not employed the services of a professional, let's say a gardener in this aspect, right? And very honestly, it's such a shame, because although you have taken the effort to plant it in the first place, to water it every day, with a little more effort, you could have got an abundance of fruit. That's the way with money too, right? We work hard, we earn money, we even invest it. But sometimes, after years, we start thinking that why are my savings and investments not amounting to as much as they should? Taking time off to understand and appropriately molding your relationship with money will pay you rich dividends in terms of helping you get the financial security or the wealth creation or the leisure time or even an estate to bequeath to your loved ones. So that's how important understanding and mastering your relationship with money actually would be for all of us, or should be for all of us. The first step, obviously, is figuratively understanding where you are. Till the time you don't know where you are, it is extremely difficult to map where you want to reach. You need to know where you are. Do you know how much of your money is worth, how much of your wealth is worth? I mean, it could be, including your investments into stocks, into mutual funds, into real estate, into gold, into what is the cash in hand that you have. Anything that can help you ascertain what is your worth will help you first understand where you stand, in order to then draw up a plan to understand where you want to be. Which then brings us to, once you know where you want to be, to how will you get there? And the very, very simple answer to this is to first draw out a goal which we call as a SMART goal, right? Imagine, let's take an example. Let's say you have a goal of buying a house somewhere in the suburbs in exactly 5 years from now. Now, what have you done? You've been specific about what your requirements are. Uh, can you measure it? You can measure it, right? You know it's a period of 5 years, and there is a time. So the amount is obviously known, and hence you can measure it. You know it's in 5 years, so there is a time-bound activity. So you know in 5 years you need to get that amount. So you've done these three elements from SMART, but is it attainable? I mean, are your finances in place to help you get to where you want to be? I mean, how will you get there? Is it attainable from the position that you are at? Is a very, very important element. And one more important element that you need to focus upon is how relevant is this goal to you? If it's relevant, then very honestly, then I will do whatever it takes, in terms of tightening my belt, in terms of controlling my expenses, in terms of investing, sufficiently to ensure that I get there. It is this how of getting from where you are to where you want to be that is of great importance. And creating or making a financial plan for your dreams and aspirations is what will help you and give you the best chance to get to your dreams and aspirations. Imagine this, okay? Imagine that you and your family are sitting one evening and you decide to go on a trip the next day. There is no plan involved. You decide to go, let's say, to Missouri. Okay, you just leave the house with your bags, okay, and obviously, let's say you first go to the railway station, you find out that there are no trains leaving, in the direction that you want to go. So what you then do is you then go to the airport, you buy a ticket, but that flight is 6 hours delayed. Then you're spending time at the airport, somewhere just waiting for that trip to start. There is no planning. Even when you reach Missouri, there's a probability that you don't know where you're staying, where should you be eating, what are the good places to eat, what are the good places to visit, and very honestly, it will be a trip which you will remember, but not remember perhaps for, the fondness with it, but probably remember it with some kind of, had I planned it better, this would not have been that ill-planned or that miserable. In your financial life too, okay, if your financial life is, or your financial journey is also as ill-planned, I think we can all very well visualize, the fate or, the state of our life that we may have to bear in our future. There is not much which you can do with your money today to enjoy and make the most of this journey called life. We need to plan it carefully. The process of financial planning is actually something which, is very simple and, more of common sense than rocket science. It is a process that allows you to follow the logical steps of your life. Financial planning is nothing but quantification of your lives and dreams, along with identifying the financial pathway that you have to walk upon to achieve those dreams or ambitions or goals or whatever you want to call it. So if I were to just very simply put it, if I need to have a financial plan, before having a financial plan, I need to have a life plan. what is my path? I mean, for how long do I want to work? I mean, is this the career path that I'm happy with? Am I going to change my career? Am I going to when am I going to get married? When am I going to buy my own house? I mean, how many children am I going to have? When am I going to retire? Having an answer to all of these questions gives you an idea of what is it that you would probably require in the future, and hence then give you an idea of what is it that you need to do in your present to ensure that this is something which is taken care of in your future. Your financial plan is your exercise to marry your dreams into your reality. We all don't know whether whatever we are thinking in terms of what we aspire to do in our lives in the future, will it happen or not? But if I am actually able to manage my finances well and be able to cater the financial resources required for me to be able to make that choice, I will be in a much better position to ensure that I am able to exercise my right to choose what I want to do in my future. And that is why creating a financial plan becomes a very, very important part of your financial freedom. What is also important is to understand your money personality. And there are 5 personalities over here which I have mapped out. And believe me, we will all fit into one of these categories. One of them, the first one that I want to talk to you about is being a saver. I mean, if I were to just map some personality traits around being a saver, then I would say that they are usually a little conservative, by nature. They are a little meticulous. Give you some examples. They will switch off the lights when they're walking out of the room. They will shop only for things which they need. And somewhere they are very happy tracking their money rather than spending it. Okay, some of us may be like this. Okay, they're also usually people who do not like to take big risks with their finances, with their investments. So that's what a saver is. Then there are people who are big investors, and as the name by itself suggests, they want the biggest of the cars, the best of the mobile phones, everything that makes them, a status movement. They're not bargain shoppers, and they do not look at price tags while they are shopping. They just want to buy it. When it comes to investment also, these are those people who are known to take certain big risks with their investments. So that's the second type, savers, big spenders. Then the third type that may suit, or that may fit some of us, are shoppers. And as the name suggests, they are people who derive, let's say, even emotional pleasure by shopping. Shopping for them is an activity which they enjoy doing, and it's something which is a very, very strong need for them. It's an entertainment. However, what I would also like to add over here is that they are aware that they are shoppers and they need to somewhere get a handle on their finances, because they also on a lot of occasions buy things which they may not need. And when it comes to investment style over here, very honestly, they don't have an investment style. Each shopper may be very different from the other one. So that's the third type. Then the fourth one is debtors. Now, as the name suggests over here, obviously, they are spending more or borrowing in order to meet their expenses. And obviously, for debtors, their financial situation is quite distressed. Investments obviously is not an option for them, because predominantly whatever they're earning is somewhere going in servicing their already taken loans or debts. So, but there are people over here too. And the last one is investors. They are extremely careful with their money, and they invest with the idea that at a later date, their passive income from this investment will exceed their active or earning income too, which would then obviously lead to them having financial freedom. And these are in terms of investments, those people who take calculated risks and with those risks manage their investments. So these are these five types. And if you just look back at your own relationship with money and how you treat your money, you will perhaps be able to put yourself in one of these buckets. I'm not saying that A is better than B, but obviously being in the bucket of being an investor, will probably be something which should augur better in comparison to the other buckets. Moving on to understanding next are these four pillars of a robust financial plan. We need to have an idea of how much am I earning, what is my income. I need to know how much am I spending, where am I spending. I need to know what I own, in terms of property, in terms of my investments in equity, gold, mutual fund units. I need to know what are my assets. At the same time, I also need to know what I owe, what are my liabilities. Do I have any loans? Do I have any credit card outstanding? These are important for me to have to understand in order to have a clear-cut idea of what my current financial situation is. Let's talk about budgeting. But before that, let me ask you to imagine that you're traveling in a car which does not have brakes. Crazy thought, isn't it? We all would think, who does that? But do you actually know that it is quite a common practice amongst many of us? Yes, it is just that we do not know that we are actually doing it until, of course, an unfortunate, disaster strikes. Isn't spending without a budget akin to driving a vehicle without brakes? Would you not agree that the probability of we being hit by some kind of a tragedy in a situation like this is very high? Just go back to a couple of years, March 2020, a lockdown was announced. A lot of our lifestyle got changed. There was high level of insecurity. We all probably had a relook at our finances, and we all took necessary precautions needed to ensure that, we have the money that we may need. Okay, I'm not saying that we must always live in this constant fear and, always be very, very conservative and rigid in terms of how and where am I making my expenses. But we need to be cognizant of any personal tragedy that may occur and events that may impact our finances. We will only be able to get through these setbacks if we plan to budget our expenses beforehand and not let them gravely affect us, at least in terms of any of these tragedies being a financial drain. I think the biggest problem, with this word budgeting is, there is somewhere some kind of a stigma which gets attached to it. Somehow we all think that it is not a very cool thing to do. Some of us even think that if I start budgeting, people will think I'm very middle class in my thought. Well, let me just raise my hand up and say I am middle class. I am a big proponent of budgeting, and I see nothing wrong in it. The richest of countries, the biggest of countries, the largest corporate houses, corporate companies work on a budget. They have budgets for everything that they are doing. And if they are doing it and they are becoming successful, why should our homes not have one? It is the it is a very, very basic and primary need for all of us to ensure that we are able to successfully manage our resources for any and every of our future requirement. Once we have a handle on our budgeting, the next step obviously is to look at how much am I saving so that I can then look at what are my investment options. As we all would agree, it's never too early, never too late. The best time is now. There is no auspicious time better than today to start your investing. We don't need to worry about timing the market. We must focus upon spending the time in the market. Whenever we have some spare money for whatever time period that is available, there are numerous investment options available which can help us to invest with with keeping that time period in mind. So we need to start investing. The four very, very simple and easy to do mantras which we must keep in mind for investing is: first, we need to start as early as possible. We need to think like a tortoise: slow and steady wins the race. Invest regularly. Believe me, I mean, if we invest regularly over a long period of time, you will actually see this magic of compounding work in your favor. So we need to regularly invest. We need to invest as early as possible. We need to not worry about timing the market. This, very honestly, is an art which has not been mastered by anyone, and it's beyond our control. So instead of worrying about when should I enter, at what level should I enter, I need to worry about investing and staying invested over this period in time in order for my money to actually work for me. And lastly, I need to be patient. Creating wealth is not something which will happen over a day, right? It's like, gourmet food, which takes time to prepare. Wealth creation is a slow process. I need to be patient and I need to stay invested for my money to create that wealth which I aspire my money to create for me. These are our four pillars of investing, and during our previous Edelweiss Konnect Klassroom sessions, we discussed quite a bit on these. And if you want to get into a detailed understanding for these, I suggest that our previous session videos are available on our website as well as our YouTube channel. And you may please visit them to have this into a detailed discussion or understanding for yourself. But in a nutshell, if I were to just tell you, we need to first know our reason for investing, which is where our needs and financial goals fall. I need to understand and ascertain for how long am I investing, and basis this also ascertain what is the level of risk that I'm ready to expose my investments to. And in order to successfully reach for my goals, I need to have a handle on my cash flow so that I know how much is available for me to invest and how and where will I invest in order to ensure that I am able to get this ready. And finally, you need to ask yourself these four questions. How much do I have to invest? How much do I need in the future? Basis this, you will come to something in how do you invest, that is your asset allocation, and in that asset allocation, which are those securities which you need to select, which will give you your best chance in order to create the wealth that you want to create with your investments. If we are able to follow these easy to deploy but extremely important and essential steps, we will be on course to successfully manage our current financial resources and make them available for all of us, for all of our future financial requirements. That is what I wanted to share with you with regards to this session today. And I would now like to take your queries and questions and respond to them before we can end our discussion on this topic today. You can put your queries and questions in the chat box, and I will respond to those questions and queries before we end our discussion today. Okay, so there is a question which has come up, which is how to manage our excess money available even after spending for all necessary and other expenses, and also after investing in mutual funds. I don't want to invest in other ways except mutual funds. So I think it's an enviable situation to be in, right? You have more money than what you need. You've already invested, and you think these investments of yours are sufficient for you to derive whatever other extra money that you would want in the future. So I would actually call it an enviable situation. But if you only want to look at mutual funds, then very honestly, mutual fund, I mean, investment options span across different levels of risk. So there are products which are available for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. So you can actually, invest across various investment schemes options available, and this will help you. This will help you in creating your future requirements, or even safeguarding the money that you have. So you could use mutual funds for all your investment needs, because there are products available, schemes available across risk appetite, and depending on how much amount you want to put in the risk asset that is there, you could decide on doing that. Okay, so there's a question: any of the 5 attitudes towards money that you shared superior to the rest? I don't want to be judgmental over here, So if you're an investor, if you're a saver, are you a big spender? Are you a shopper, or are you a debtor? It's obviously a debtor is something which I would say, as soon as you get out of debt, it will be something which will help you to manage your money for your future and create something for your future. So in that sense, an investor or a saver at least seems to have more control on his money, I would say. But I would not want to point a finger and say that this is better than the rest. I mean, it's your money, it's your wish on how you want to spend it. But obviously, having a handle on your finances, knowing what are your earnings and where are you spending and what are you saving for you to invest, is something which is very, very important for all of us, rather than just saving everything or saving on things which you may not need. So in that sense, knowing your money and, being prudent about it is something which I would advise to even people who have an abundance of money. It is heard that the market is going to be correct deeply and sharply in another few months. Is it the right time to invest in bulk? I don't know. Will the market correct deeply in the next few months? But like I said, invest regularly, invest early. We cannot time the markets. So I mean, will it correct? Will it not correct? What are those reasons for it to correct? It's something which nobody can pinpoint and exactly say this is where the market will go and this is when it will turn. So in that sense, I would think that if I have money, I have a long-term horizon. I may want to look at investing into the equity markets. I'm assuming that your question is more towards the equity side of investment. So in that sense, I would invest. If my horizon is longer, if the correction even happens, the wave will take care of it, as and when it turns in the future. So in that sense, instead of timing the market, I would want to spend my time in the market. Okay, so are there any other questions? Okay, so on that note, thank you very much. I hope you found this program insightful and helpful and easy to deploy. As usual, we will connect again in the coming months with another exciting program on our Edelweiss Konnect Classroom session. And we hope that all of you, join us again for that session too. Till then, do take good care of yourself and wish you all a very happy Diwali in advance. Thank you once again and goodbye for now.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.